going on? Figured I would just pop onto a live stream and say hello to everybody and talk about some updates that have occurred since the last one. Uh, the person who just texted me asking me if I'm live yet. Yes. Yeah, so big news is we got a huge delivery of merch today that I've been waiting on for a long time. It took a long time to ship to get here, and we finally have it. Which it's gonna line up. What's up, RCU? Good to see you. It's gonna line up really well with the launch of the new website, which is happening before Friday. Tomorrow, next day, new website will be up. You won't even recognize it from the old one. It's a completely different website. It's not like we're updating the website. We're not like giving it a facelift. It is a new website entirely. And then combined with that, there's a few different things that we're working on. But one thing that I'm really excited about, I'm not going to talk about it yet until after tomorrow, because that I'll know for sure if it's actually happening. But we might be adding something really fun onto the website and something, pretty unique. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about the merch that was delivered to us today and that will be getting added to the website very soon. So you've seen them before. These are the Speedrun Seeds Pro Trimmers. Now, for a lot of people, these have the Speedrun logo laser etched onto the blade. For people who have trimmed a lot of flower, there are around me right now. Right, here we go. Hold on, one moment. Okay, so you might be familiar with these. Now, there's a lot of companies. This one says Trim Daddy on it because these are the cheapest ones that you can get. A lot of companies, when they do get branded trimming scissors, this is what they go with, spring trimming scissors. Now, I'm going to talk about why these suck. Okay, so think about this. These are designed to push apart as you're trimming. Let's see if I've got some lowers or something right here. So some random bud, whatever this is. It's been sitting there for days. Now, if you're trimming flower, okay, I'm going through. The force necessary to close these trimming scissors is much greater than it would be without that spring. And I guess the idea is that it's pushing your hand back apart so that you don't have to do that motion. There's seeds falling out of this as I'm trimming it, so I'm going to stop doing that. But the force necessary to close it is much greater than the benefit that you get, or the reduction in work that needs to happen, for it opening your fingers for you. So now there are other types of scissors that work, like regular scissors, but there are certain things that make a good trimming scissor a good trimming scissor. A good trimming scissor is loose, well, it stays open like that, but like once it closes, loose. That has to be there. There's no replacement for a good pair of like nice, smooth, loose trimming scissors. They have to be sharp. They have to have nice, sharp blade tips. And then I happen to like curved trimming scissors. Now, I couldn't get curved trimming scissors, so these are angled. These have a 20-degree angle, which you will notice by the diagram that I made on the back. I did all the design work. I was going for like 90s Taco Bell theme on the front, and then I did all this on the back. Even paid for a little barcode there. These, we have thousands of pairs of these now, and we're going to be selling them on the website. I've already been giving some away with like orders over $200 or so. I've been giving these away, so a bunch of people have already gotten them, but they will be available. And let me take a look at some comments. Baldy over there. Is it hot or is it cold? I don't know, because I am not bald. I like being bald, and it's temperate. Okay. Whoa. What up, peeps? Impressive genetics. Thank you. Very nice. Yo, Haze Runner in the house. What's up, fam? What's going on? I like those fabric pots, too. I will talk about those very soon. I want a girlfriend, but I'm starting to think that having a girlfriend can be a bad thing. Like the 18 that you want, and then you hate it. Saboten or Chicamasa? Chicamasa is the brand across the board, the trimming scissor of professional trimmers around the world. Chicamasa, they are a hundreds of years, I think like 200-year-old or something, Japanese company. They make like grapevine trimming scissors and bonsai tree trimming scissors. Now, these are, I tried to model mine as close to those as I could, while still kind of maintaining some of what my own little things that I liked about these specifically. These are not Chicamasa quality. These are not the same. These are 420 stainless steel, which is the Chinese stainless, or the equivalent of 420. So like, yeah, these are 420 stainless steel, essentially. The same chromium composition as 420 stainless steel. So Chicamasa uses better steel, for sure. We're not a scissor company. These are merch. These are not. This is not our main product. But I wanted them to be very functional. I wanted them to be comfortable to use. So something that Chicamasa does not have. Ooh, look at that. That makes such a difference for me when I'm trimming, man. Like that, the fact that they are not stiff and they have the you know, like they have that like nice jelly handle, and they go right back to the right shape. You know, like you can like really manhandle these. And the fact that they're nice and loose, you know, if you ever sat near a professional trimmer and listened to them trim, this is what it sounds like. Because they're just hitting like, so to be able to do that is necessary. So that's I went through probably 20 different sample scissors before I landed on these, and then made some changes with the company that I had produced these. To place my order today. Would I have known that the new strain drops soon? I would have waited. Yeah, they're coming soon. We're going to try to line that up with the new website. I was thinking about going bald, and I have so much hair, and I did never think about being cold or hot in my head. You're not going to notice it. Once you're bald, it's like, it's the same as like when you have hair. Your body, you just forget about it. And being bald is so nice because I don't have to go get my hair. I just do it every morning in the shower. Just whoop, whoop, whoop. Done. And I think personally, I look good bald. I double tap the like button with my tip. Thank you. Jay, bruh. What up, RCU? That's smart. Hey, Ben, glad you're doing well, buddy. Looking forward to the new drops. Thanks for all the hard work, buddy. Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Why all of a sudden am I all washed out? There we go. Oh, God, can I like focus on different? Oh. Oh. Oh, no. Let's try to get a better. It'll adjust, I'm sure. Okay, so trimming scissors. That's these. I love them. I could sit here. I could, you know, what? I've got a little trim bin down there, but it's got a bunch of shit in it. I could sit here and do a demonstration trimming for you, but I mean, how boring would that be? But I think trim gel should not be the worst thing in the world. And I think, I'm not saying it should be fun, but a good pair of scissors makes all the difference. And these are a good pair of scissors. So yeah. Speed Run Pro Trimmers. I believe the price that these are going to go, don't quote me, but I believe the price that these are going to go up on the website is going to be $16.99, which I think is very fair. Might be $17.99. It's one of those two. Let's see. Yes, sir, you are killing it. Hair, no hair, purple hair, who cares? Thank you. Excited to run the Dreamcast Orange Portal. Dream Portal, yes. Would you ever consider putting Double O Kush that you guys worked with up for sale on the site, or maybe? So Eric, that's his, you know, like that's his line that he's been working for a long time. And we got more. So the double O Kush, it shows up in the final boss. It shows up in the boss battle. And we're going to be running it in this next run. So there will be a new generation of it. And boss battle, final boss, we're going to be doing some fun stuff with those coming up. So keep your eyes peeled for more double O crosses. Because that was a good... Well, originally it sucked. That was a terrible strain. I got to say, like, no offense to double O Cushery, whoever bred it. I think it's double O Seed Bank. It was a terrible strain, but Eric saw something in it. He liked the terpene profile, I guess, of one of them, and we had planted a ton of them, and he narrowed it down to a few. He did that all on his own. I was like, toss it, I hate it, get rid of it. He kept it, he worked it, he stabilized that line, and we ended up with final boss through his hard work. So that was very impressive to me. He did a great job with it. Okay, next. Seed starting trays. Man, I have been waiting for so long to be able to fucking talk to you guys about these. All I had was the original sample at first. So these come as 3 parts. Well, 3 parts without the plugs, but these come as the top and bottom. It's not a sticker or anything. Got speedrun printed on there. And there is adjustable airflow. Super nice. Little bottom tray. And then the real important thing. Now, this is an autoflower designed. I personally designed this insert. This is nowhere near what the original insert for this product was to begin with. I made it black. I changed the size of the openings on the top here. I'll pop these out for a second. So I personally customized, like I made to the millimeter. I made sure that these were the correct size. I changed the angle of, these were not even sloped, these were not angled. I made them angled. I made them sloped at a certain angle. I had them remove the bottom. I paid for a new mold 3 times to get this right. This is the autoflower insert that I developed over the course of like months and months and months. And the concept of the bottomless seed starting tray is something that I've been doing for years. I've been cutting the bottoms off on my own. So this is the culmination of a lot of autoflower seeds being started. Let me catch up to there we go. A lot of autoflower seeds being started and trying to figure out the best way to do it. And I'll talk about why I designed it specifically like this. First of all, this top hole here is designed to fit precisely with our plugs. Now, these are the this whole set here is called the speed starting tray. Instead of seed starting tray, it's the speed starting tray. And these are speed starters. That's what these things are. Now, these have their own, like dimensions to them that each of these plugs, I forget exactly how many millimeters it is, but the opening on the top of the tray is designed to be precise to this. And then the depth of the tray is designed specifically so that there is a little air gap at the bottom so that these bottoms don't actually touch anything. Like they sit in the tray and they are just kind of floating there. Now, they're held in because the plug or the speed starter is making contact with the sides of the cell. All right, so let's talk about why you would want to do that. Roots seek water. That's what they do. Roots grow toward water. And the taproot, which is unique to a seed plant. If you have a clone, you don't have a taproot. The taproot in a seed plant is going to move very quickly, and it's going to find the bottom of whatever container it's in, and that's going to dictate the shape and the behavior of your root zone. So in our case, we don't want the taproot to find the bottom of our speed starting tray. We want there to be no bottom. And that is the effect of the taproot kind of seeking the bottom and not finding it is called air pruning. So that taproot's going to be air pruned. You might even see it die off a little bit. That's normal. Now, what that does is it changes the direction and the behavior of the root zone so that it grows toward the moisture that collects where the plug is making, where the seed speed starter is making contact with the walls of the cell. That's where the moisture is. So where the material of the along the sides here, where the material of this is making contact with the plastic, that's where the moisture is. That's where the roots are going to go. So you're going to get this nice branching lateral roots that are going to go sideways, and you're not going to have a circling taproot at the bottom. Your taproot is no longer dictating. It's not saying, oh, I'm in a tiny little seed starting tray, so I better behave like that. And then one of my favorite things about these is this nice little split at the top. So, I'll go ahead and plant a seed. I'll go ahead and plant 6 seeds in this. And then next time we're live, I'll show you the results. So you take just a seed and you drop it right in, okay? And then when you put it back into the cell, it holds it together. You're good. There's no digging a hole. There's no deciding how deep to put it. None of that BS. You can just squeeze it, drop in your seed, and you're good to go. It is so easy. So many of these seed starting trays or seed starting plug, they have holes that are too big, that are too small. This you don't have to worry about. And then, hey, look, you want to say, oh, wait, did I plant that one? So easy. Just check. So easy. And another thing, like, oh, has my seed germinated yet? Let me check. No digging. You don't have to dig it up. There's none of that. So that's something I love about these plugs. So I have a question here. Which side of the seed points up? It doesn't matter. There's no way that you can always plant the seed the right direction. Technically, there is a bottom and there is a top, and when it cracks open, it does go in, but it's going to seek light. So as long as you have, we're not germinating in the dark, because that's germination. We are starting these seeds. We're planting these seeds. So I'll give you a little bit of a close up here. It just drops right in there. Oops, so I'm holding it at an angle. Drops right in there, and it closes, and when you put it back into the tray, it's good to go. So these come pre-moistened, and you're going to get, when you order one of these seed starting trays, there will be a label, like a product label on these bags, and there will be less air in them. This one, this was opened after it was sealed. But yeah, so they'll have, the way that it's going to ship is just down over here. There will be less air in this bag, and this bag of 8 plugs will be inside the bottom here, and then your seed starting tray insert. And just to show you, it holds them in there. Well, it is upside down. So this will be upside down. This will be on top, and that's what you'll get when you order one of these, minus the seeds, obviously, that I just planted. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't get simpler. So these packs will have 8 of the speed starter plugs, just in case you need 2 extra for whatever reason. And you don't want to leave your seedlings in here for more than really 7 days. Honestly, as soon as they sprout, as soon as that's why I did not want the dome to be too tall, because that's an incentive. If it's cutting, it's going to touch the dome at some point. And obviously you could take the dome off, but at that point, just transplant it, put it in whatever container it's going to grow in for the rest of its life. So yeah, we have used these types of plugs for a very long time, and we love them. I put a lot of thought and effort and money changing and designing this so that it would behave like the perfect seed tray that I would want for myself if I'm starting autoflower seeds, which I do quite often. So that's the deal with these. And I don't remember what we're charging for these off the top of my head. Probably somewhere around the same as what the trimming scissors are. And then you'll be able to buy refill packs of these, which would be obviously a lot cheaper. So yeah, that is the seed starting tray. Oh shit! And then last but not least, well, not last, but we got our 3-gallon pot. Here, I'll hold them up next to each other so you can see the size difference. So your 3-gallon and your 5-gallon. 3 gallons going to be a little shorter and not quite as wide. As you can see, this one fits into this one, and there's a little bit of space. But yeah, I prefer the 3-gallon in an auto pot setup. 3-gallon for me is just a great size, and it allows us for a little bit more variety in the room here, instead of the much larger plants that you would get with 5-gallon. And then the 5-gallon, you have to sort of, did I put that down anywhere that's accessible? Hold, please. There we go. Okay. So this here is an Autopot XL base, and here is a 5-gallon pot in it. You really kind of have to stuff it in there. I mean, it has to be squeezed in there in order to fit. I don't know if that would be a problem. I've never tried running that, but the 3-gallon fits in there perfectly. So they both technically fit. Now, I don't know if it would be problematic, squeezing a pot into an Autopot tray or base like that. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody who's more familiar with this type of Autopot base would be able to tell me. But the 3-gallon works perfectly, and I personally prefer this size for Autopots. We've been using the Trader Grows, but even in an Autopot XL setup, 3-gallon is just the way to go for me. So leave that like that. And then you guys are familiar with our plant tags. Ooh, just dropped my microphone. Where was this one? Hopefully the audio is coming through my microphones, by the way, because I put on 2. I noticed that the audio quality always seems a lot better if I have 2 microphones on. So I got one also right here. Okay. So what was I about to say? Oh, yeah, here, I'll just grab one of these real quick. The other merch that we had delivered is our plant tags. You guys are familiar with these, and I had 10,000 of these delivered today. So we're going to be selling these in 10 packs and 20 packs. They're going to be, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's $8.99 for 10, or it's going to be, I think, $16.99 for 20. Don't quote me. In that ballpark, though. So, yeah. We're going to be selling these also. We've never sold them before. We've always just given them away for free. So we will be selling these. And that's the merch. Like, I know people ask for hats and shirts and all that stuff, and that will come. But I really prefer to put our merchandise budget toward things that other people aren't really doing, that are unique and that are functional in the grow. I love merch. I love the idea of merch being functional in the grow. That's why I'm so proud of these trimmings. You can see I've been using these trimming scissors a lot. Like, if I have 20 pairs of Chicamauces, like I've run big commercial grows for a long time. I have a lot of Chicamauces. I've been using these over those. So magnet labels. Are you talking about the magnetic plant tags? Those are 3D printed. So my 3D printer, I needed a new nozzle for it. So I haven't really been printing as much recently, but I also just ordered a new 3D printer and it's still in the box. I haven't opened it. So I've got something I'm going to be doing with 3D printers and magnet. So all right, here's the deal with the magnetic plant tags. I was very ambitious when I first got that 3D printer. I was like, oh, dude, I could make so much fucking shit. So I learned how to, you print, half of the thing and you let it pause and then you put your magnet in and then it prints over it and you got this nice enclosed magnet inside of the plant tag. It is such a it is a royal pain in the ass trying to make those consistently without failures and all that stuff. It's just not reasonable for me to dedicate that much time. So I may train somebody to use a 3D printer and to do it for me. That would be good. Yeah, because I love the idea of the magnetic plant tags where you can just swap out the strain. But it just ended up, I bit off a little bit more than I could chew with that just because of my skill level with 3D printing and also just the fact that 3D printing isn't always successful and magnets are difficult and it's a whole thing. So they may return, but there'll be like a special thing. Just print me the tag so I can put my own magnets on. So let's talk. Maybe you'll give me some ideas, and I will print you something. Whatever yeah. I will have to try a cherry strain next. I love the taste of cherry. Frosted Cheerios. That's the one for you. Or publish the print file. I could do that. Yeah. So I made like all the print files I made myself, actually in Adobe Illustrator, which I know is crazy. But that's the program I'm most familiar with, and I'm actually able to I don't know if I have any sitting around right now. Oh, there's one. I'll grab it. All right, so here's an example of this is a 3D print that I made with an embedded magnet. This is not, is a air gap. Hold on. Here we go. There. So it's got an embedded magnet in it. But see, the reason that I have this and it was not shipped out to a customer is because it messed up around the edge. Like the nozzle was making contact as it was printing, so it looks like crap around the edge. But I do like the color changing filament. This was magenta to gold. I'm designing in Adobe. That's wild. Yeah, but so I made this in Adobe Illustrator. Like I did all of that. I made the this was just like one line that I used like the rotate thing, and I made our logo in Adobe Illustrator. So yeah, it's cool. I sent out a bunch of these. Like there's a ton of people have these. I've sent out probably fucking hundreds of these at this point. But yeah, this is just one that was messed up. So that's why I still have it, like I said, and a customer does not. But so that's the type of stuff that can happen. It screws up and I don't like it. Like I'm not going to send that to somebody. It's jacked up. Like it should look like this. It should look nice and smooth like that side does. But that side got messed up. So fuck your merch. How do you breed your autos? I've talked a lot about breeding and a lot of people have been waiting on the merch. So I wanted to talk about the merch for a little bit. But if you want to know how I breed my autos, I'll talk about how we breed autos. I appreciate the question. So let's see. We have started from giant pheno hunts since the beginning. That's been our MO. So like our very first pheno hunt when we first started breeding, I went and purchased every single strain I could find on the internet, just like every autoflower. I was like, give it to me. It was over 115, I think it was 115, is around that, strains that we printed. And it ended up being 30,000 plants in a 40,000 square foot canopy. And it was just a massive pheno hunt. Still, to this date, I don't know of any larger autoflower only pheno hunt that's ever been done. Nat Pennington from Humboldt Seed Company came up and documented it. It's still on the Humboldt Seed Company website if you want to see our first 30,000 plant pheno hunt. And then in the subsequent years, we did a 25,000, a 20,000, and you know, the deeper you get. So we would the first year we did it all in 5-gallon pots. So we had an ocean of 5-gallon pots, 30,000 5-gallon pots. And then we ran irrigation line over them. And every single plant that we really liked, we took it, we brought it inside to our indoor breeding room. So we would plant, let's say, 5,000 of a particular strain. So the way that would work would be we would buy a pack of, just say, 00 Kush, like somebody mentioned earlier. And we would take the 00 Kush, breed it. So take 2 plants, you know, reverse one, breed it with each other, make a new generation of it, plant 5,000 of those. And we would find, of those 5,000, what's the most rare, coolest, most different phenotype that we could find? So we would find all like the 1 in 1,000 phenotypes, 1 in 500 phenotypes. About to get so no, guys, don't bother Matthew. He asked a question. He wanted to know. He was being. I'm from the East Coast. Yeah, that's something that I would say. I don't think what he said was impolite at all. So let him be. If you're still here, Matthew Duncan, I took no offense to what you said. Anyway, so we would find these really rare phenotypes, and then we would take them in, and we would, over the course of a few generations, stabilize them. And then we would take the stabilized phenotype that we really liked, and we would cross it with another one that we did the same thing with. And that, you know, so at that point, we're generations in, and then generations in, and we take our 2 stabilized plants and cross those 2 together, and then take that one. And the first strain that we ever released was Granite Haze F4. So we took that 4 generations in before we ever released it. And that's been how we've done things. And we have a really unique breeding process. It involves, when we reverse plants, we only reverse a couple branches. So we'll take our silver thiosulfate solution, which is a very specific solution that it took us probably 8 generations to refine to where the point where we can hit one branch only once, we spray it down once, and that single branch reverses perfectly, and the rest of the plant just continues on as a female. So then as those pollen sacs mature on the plant and they get closer and closer to opening up, right before they open up, we cut those branches off. We take them elsewhere to a different facility or a different room that is completely air separate from the grow room or the breeding room, and we'll allow those pollen sacs to open up. We'll keep that branch alive, and we'll allow those pollen sacs to open up over time, and we'll collect the pollen from them. And then now we have the female plant that's growing as normal, just missing a couple branches, and we have pollen from that plant. So going back to the 5,000, you know, let's say we have 5,000 plants of a particular strain, we might only end up with 5 plants or maybe 15 plants that are ones that we were even thinking about breeding with. And the ones that we're thinking that might possibly be the ones we want to breed with, Anthro, I don't believe you. Go check it out. Go to the Humboldt Seed Company YouTube and look for autoflower pheno hunt on Humboldt Seed Company autoflower pheno hunt. And you'll see a video of me and Nat Pennington, who everybody knows, Nat Pennington. He did some pheno hunting with us at our facility. And then we've posted plenty of pictures of our breeding process. You're sitting here with me in our grow room where we do this process. So we reverse single branches. It only takes 1 spray. And like I said, it took us a long time to get to that particular formulation of STS, so that it only takes 1 spray. No, 30,000 plants each hunt, Anthro. 5,000 plants per strain. Yeah, it's hard to believe. I know. It's more than anybody else does. We're crazy. We do crazy shit. And it's all documented. We all have the receipts for everything. So Don't call him a dummy, guys. Look, other breeders don't do that. So it's like, I love when people say I don't believe you, because that it's a compliment to me. It means like, shit, fuck yeah. That means like we're doing something that people don't think that anybody could really do. Like that, to me, like, because I had a giant commercial facility, I had staff. Like, okay, what can I do that other people can't? And that's what we did, and that's what got us here. That's where we are now. So I love questions like that. Don't get on his ass for saying he doesn't believe me or questioning it. So do you have any anticipated new drops of Haze Invader coming up? I'm very interested in that cultivar. Haze Invader, yeah, we're gonna probably maybe we'll work it into this next run. We're kind of set on our strains for this next run. We're going right back to back into, but you're kind of Haze Invader. That's one that I'll think about that one. I'll think about that one. If how much what work we're gonna do with it. But what was his name? Anthro. I encourage you, leave this live, go to your YouTube search bar, type in Humboldt Seed Company autoflower pheno hunt, and there's like a couple videos that come up, but you'll see me, you'll recognize me. And I'm wearing, actually, you know what? In that video, I am wearing this hat. You'll see me in this hat in that video, because that is the name of our old facility. So, yeah. Haze Invader, such an amazing structure. It's a great plant. Yeah, I really love Haze Invader. How about some THCV strains? Very difficult to breed THCV strains. So, obviously, you don't know what your cannabinoid composition is until you go and have it tested. So let's say we have a cultivar that we get it tested and we notice, oh, there's THCV. Okay, we could breed it. We could try, but breeding for things that can only be determined well after harvest is something that I will only really do in circumstances where like high THC percentage, because that I kind of had to do. You know, I understand high THC is not everything, but in the context of what sells, you kind of have to work on one hand, okay, what sells, and on the other hand, what is the highest quality, best thing that you can produce. So the one, you know, like breeding for high THC, that we absolutely did in the same way that we would breed for high THCV. So what we would really have to do is find which one of our strains has the highest THCV, and then that would be a starting point, and try to breed in a way where we get that higher. But yeah, THCV, if people don't know, it's supposed to reduce your appetite, actually, and give you energy. I don't know how true all that is. I don't know how many studies have actually been done that are, unimpeachable data, peer-reviewed studies that demonstrate that THCV actually has those benefits. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. Possibly a presentation thing, be too many strains thing, a bit like going into a restaurant and they have a huge menu. Yeah, it's what's the word for it? It's not analysis paralysis. It's when you have too many choices, it paralyzes you. That's why, grocery stores, there's actually like an entire science. There's a psychology behind grocery stores and how many choices per particular thing, like grape jelly. How many grape jellies do we want to have on our shelf? If we have 10 grape jellies, people are going to stand there going, oh, they're going to Google which grape jelly is the best out of those 10. So yeah, I get what you're saying with that. What strain do you suggest is a must-try from your current catalog? Granite Haze, F7 is about to drop. So I wait a couple of days and buy the Granite Haze F7, because that is our magnum opus. That's the strain we've been working on for years and years. As we put the most hours of work into. That's our baby. That's our flagship. I love it. Yeah. Terpsneeze also another must, and we have a new we have a F2 of Terpsneeze coming up. Also, that one is harvested, and yeah. Sorry, I'm just got a little flower here on my desk that I was fucking around with earlier. Yeah, so if I had to recommend a single strain, Granite Haze, even the Granite Haze F4, which is the first strain we ever released, it kicks ass. Granite Haze F7, I'm not like a cocky guy. I'm actually like, I hate saying things like I hate giving myself credit for stuff, but the Granite Haze F7, it's a contender of like the top autoflower strains available anywhere. Like I challenge anybody to put up a better strain. And I don't doubt that there could be better strains. I want to see them. I want to see them because if they're out there, then that's a fucking good strain. If it's measurably better than the Granite Haze F7 is. Ben, any more Pheno Hunt packs being released? Yes. So I had to go through a whole copyright thing on the booklet. That's done. Dude, where is that? I thought I had one sitting here. Hold on. There it is. So I produced this whole booklet not just for that one Pheno Hunt pack. We will have Pheno Hunt packs coming out actually pretty regularly moving forward. So these, I'm actually going to be sending these out like a mailer to like our mailing lists, and I have the digital version of this finally. It's in a PDF form. So if anybody here has any recommendations of how to get that out to disperse it to everybody, like I wish I could just post it on Reddit and you could just go through all the pages online. But like as a download, I don't know. But I have a PDF version of the Pheno Hunt booklet. And if you're not familiar with the Pheno Hunt booklet, basically it gives you like a description of what you're going to be responsible for if you undertake the Pheno Hunt pack, and then I made some diagrams. So when you're documenting the plants, we want photos sent in at certain intervals, and it's going to be on the new website, Miguel. It is going to be on the new website, and you're going to be able to interact. So like when you get to the point of like selection of your scent notes, you're actually going to be able to click and enter your answers. But so yeah, this tells you how to take photos at the right distance, at the right height, the right lighting, the right angle. It's what we want so that we get consistent data. And then asking for vegetative growth measurements. So like at day 10, day 20, so we can this is height and this is width, but we're going to do these at day 10 and day 20 so that we can get a growth rate, so we know how much they grew between day 10 and day 20. And then we have the vegetative growth criteria that we chose to put in here. Now, we have a lot more criteria in our breeding program. This is like a very slimmed down version of our breeding program. But even nonetheless, there are, God, my hands are dry. 15 different breeding criteria, where it ends here with the first appearance of the female pre-flowers, and it gives you a little diagram to show you what a pre-flower is. A lot of people think pre-flowers are just like little buds. Pre-flowers are the single calyx that occurs right at the node. I believe that's called the axis at that angle right there. I think it's called the axis. I need to turn that into an app for you, or something like that. Am I an auto breeder? Anthro? Yes, I am. Speedrun Seeds is the name of the company. And then it jumps right into flowering criteria evaluation. And there's an intro to each section, jumps into the flowering criteria. And there are, how many flowering criteria? It goes up to 10 flowering criteria. And then these are diagrams that I made myself. I drew these by hand. Can't see if you can see, because I can't see the phone screen. But this is so excessive internodal spacing. So when there's too much space in between the nodes, which is going to reduce your yield, and then you consider bracts pre-flowers. Well, bracts, or people call them calyxes, bracts. those are pre-flowers. Those are the plant showing its sex. So a male pre-flower would be like the little claw shape, and a female pre-flower is those bracts, like you said, that the single bract that occur at the nodes. That is what a pre-flower is. And definitely let me know what your definition of a pre-flower is. I'd love to hear it and talk about it with you. But anyway, yeah, so internodal spacing we talk about here, and you get to rank your internodal spacing down there at the bottom. And then we have a whole aroma assessment, fruity and floral notes, herbal and woodsy, funky and skunky, and a bunch of different things that it could smell like down there so that you can circle. And then post-harvest assessment, bag appeal, frostiness, your trichome description, greasy, sticky, dry, sandy, trichome head size. If you have a scope, you know, you can't really answer that without, you know, magnifying. But some have really long stalks and tiny little heads. Some have nice big heads. And then you have your cultivation method log here. What's your fertilization method? So constant liquid feed. So that would be like emitters, you know, where you're constantly providing liquid nutrients. What's up, Soul Rebel? Glad that you caught me again, too. Constant liquid feed, top dress nutrients. So that's going to be like your amended soils, and then you're top dressing and you're, you know, mixing it with your fingers and watering it in. And then your amended soil with water only. So that's like if you're doing something like the Grow Peaceful bucket, where you're only using water and your soil, it's all your nutrients are all in your soil. And then there's other, so you can, you know, if there's something else. And then your base nutrient brand and program. So what's the brand of nutrients and the product list. And then your medium, cocoa, amended / living soil, brand and specific product. So you can give us an answer there. Soilless mix, so that's like Pro Mix or Sunshine Mix number 4. And then you give us the brand there, Rock Wool or other. Container information, how many gallons or liters? Is it a fabric pot, plastic pot, other? What size rock wool cube, if you have rock wool, or other, and give us a description. And then we have your irrigation method. Are you hand watering, automatic drip, self-watering base, and what brand, or other, lighting, fluorescent, HPS or CMH, LED, what wattage, what's your light schedule, hours on, hours off, and then your PAR measurement log down there. So you have PPFD, number of days from sprout, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times throughout the grow that you can record your PPFD, and then we want to hear about your par meter model. What kind of par meter do you have? And then the whole second half of the book is just notes. Take your notes, and we want to see your notes too. So that's the Speedrun Seeds Community Pheno Hunt booklet. How was that? Did that cover what's in here well enough for? Ooh, shit, Jesus Christ. Good Lord. Oh my God. Yes, Trade to Grow is amazing. We've been using the Trade to Grows for a long time. You're not ready for my par meter? What do you have? What kind of par meter do you have? What's cracking, Travis? Actually, you know what? That is bad etiquette. The Trader Grows have been amazing for us. Autopots and somebody at Speedrun Seeds, I'm starting a grow vlog. Do you offer any affiliate programs or content creators? So we have two active affiliate people. I decided a long time ago I'm not adding any more, but we're happy to work with you. We're happy to help. Like, it's not just really an official affiliate program. It's something that we might consider adding back in later on, but just for right now, it's just not something like, yeah, it just feels like paying for growth. And when we really like to focus on the organic growth, word of mouth, and yeah, Autopotamus is our first affiliate, And he found us organically. He grew our genetics like for multiple generations, multiple runs before he and I ever talked about affiliate codes. So, you know, like we did not bring him on as an affiliate. It was just kind of something that happened, you know, throughout the course of our relationship. And yeah, so it's I'm happy to talk to you about it, but it's not really a traditional affiliate type deal. Trader Grow is amazing for starting large number of seeds. I use the solo cups on the tray. Yeah, right. So what we did, we have these. Let's see one in arm's reach, but no. We have 5-inch square pots that we fit 14 of them, I believe, per Trader Grow. And then, you know, we transplant into our 3-gallon. So we'll go from this is the transplants that happen. We start in a seed starting tray. So transplant number 1 into a 5-inch square, and those 5-inch squares are allowed to grow for about 20 days. So they'll be, and let's say they're in the seed starting tray for 5 to 7 days. And then they go into the square pots for another 20 days. And the way that they behave in those square pots allows us to kill a bunch of them, you know, just right off jump. Like they're not growing fast enough. They're not handling the nutrients well enough. They're weird little mutants, whatever it is, you know. And then once we end up with so let's say we start with 500 seeds, we'll end up with maybe, I don't know, once moving from the 5-inch squares into the 3 gallons, maybe we'll end up with 100. You know, we'll kill off 400 of them. We'll only keep the best 100, and then that'll get transplanted, and this will be the final home. So it's 2 transplants, and we breed specifically after that transplant. We keep an eye on every single plant, and if it speeds up after the transplant, we keep it. If it slows down, or if it's just didn't like the transplant, gets killed. That's transplant stability or transplant tolerance. That's one of our breeding traits. I believe that's even in the booklet. What do you see as the frontier of autoflowers in 10 years in terms of yield, finishing times, terpene? That's a great question, Andy. That's one of the better questions I've gotten on a live. Okay, so let's talk about autoflowers. Let's face our merch here so everybody can ogle it real quick. You know what? I'm going to write a blog post about this question. That's actually a great blog. And we have a blog section on the new website. So I'm going to open up a new document, and I'm just going to not let myself forget. So 10-year plan for autoflowers. I think that's a good way of phrasing this. So, photoperiods, let's just start in the mid-90s. They had a rapid period of genetic enrichment. Photoperiod breeding became way more detailed and scientific, and people put a lot more effort into improving THC percentages, improving terpene percentages. Back in even the early 2000s, getting a strain that was 20% THC, that was amazing. Even especially if it was an outdoor strain that was 20% THC, bam, you were killing it. And then over the course of the early 2000s into the 20-teens, we ended up getting up to 30-40% THC with these photoperiods, and autoflowers just kind of lingered around 13%, 15%. Until I would say around 2018, 2019. Then there are certain breeders, Mephisto, I'll call out Rock Bud, and then I know Night Owl was affiliated with Mephisto in some way, and they ended up separating into 2 entities. I don't really know the story there, but that Night Owl also. They all started 3 years or so, 4 or 5 years before I ever got into breeding. And when I got into breeding, like I talked about earlier with my giant Pheno hunt, a lot of the genetics were still garbage, especially from Europe. A lot of the European genetics were garbage. So my refining of the genetics that I got involved a ton of selective breeding and starting thousands and keeping only tens, you know, and that allowed us to go from something that was, you know, testing at 13% THC to testing regularly over 30% THC. Now, where's the gap between photoperiods and autoflowers? Photoperiods, you know, you're 3, even 4% terpenes. You're 38% THC, 39%. Now, I don't know if I believe a lot of those THC numbers, but there is a gap. There's a gap in just overall quality. There's a gap in secondary metabolite production and cannabinoid and terpene resin content. Yeah, rock bud. Cap junkie, I don't really associate with autoflowers. I don't know if they ever really. Well, there's seed junkie and capulator. Cap junkie, I guess maybe they did a collaboration. Seed junkie, I know those guys. I actually worked with them down in LA a little bit. And I've worked with their genetics. They have great genetics. Capulator, I've worked with, God, what was the strain? I think it was it? No. Fuck. Whatever it was. I worked with a couple capulator strains, and they were a little finicky for me. But anyway, so there's this gap still between photoperiods and autoflowers, and autoflowers are improving still. Photoperiods, now they're starting to plateau. Autoflowers are going to meet photoperiods, and we're going to plateau. And now, what do you do there? Where do you go from that plateau? You go for unique bud structures. You go for unique colors, terpenes that you haven't really seen before in autoflowers. We are enriching autoflowers, the genetic pool of autoflowers, at the same rate of genetic enrichment that occurred with photoperiods back in the early 2000s. So what do you see? What do I see for the next 10 years? I see what happened with photoperiods from the year 2005 to the year 2015. That's what I see happening with autoflowers from the year 2019 to 2029. So, like, we're a decade behind, which allows for a lot of upward mobility in the quality of the genetics. And I feel like I've been blessed and lucky enough to kind of be on that front of that wave of improving the quality and putting something out that nobody has put out yet. And I particularly, my focus and my expertise has been on vegetative breeding criteria and eliminating way more plants than I actually keep. And that vegetative breeding criteria allows me to selectively breed plants that grow faster, handle nutrients better, have a structure where all the lateral branches are even in height. All these things that other breeders weren't really, they were paying attention to all the stuff in flower. They were planting 20 plants and saying, which one of these flowering plants is the best? That's the one I'm going to breed with. And me, I would plant 2,000 plants and say, okay, I need a plant that can handle, 3.0 EC of my nutrients, that can handle 1,000 ppfd, that can resist pests, that has a branch structure that's even, that has vigor, that just blows everything else away. I know what I want and what I'm looking for, and I kill everything that's not what I'm looking for. Like, this is not me comparing myself to Michelangelo, but there's a quote that's attributed to him of how do you sculpt a block of marble into a beautiful sculpture? Well, you just cut away everything that's not the sculpture. And I love that quote because to me, that's what I'm doing. I'm cutting away everything that's not precisely what I'm looking for. So there's your answer to the 10-year future of autoflowers. And I'm going to be writing a blog post about this. I want to attribute it to you. So here, wait, what was your name? Gotta scroll up. Hold on. Where were you? God, you're far up here. Where the fuck was it? Here we go. Yeah, okay. Andy Dodds. You are going to be getting a specific thank you for the idea for this blog post. I'll type this up tonight. So Andy, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna hit some of these questions and comments that I missed while I was ranting. Okay. Smash that thumbs up, family. I've never been one to tell people to smash the thumbs up, but if you didn't know, if you double tap on your screen, you can actually zoom in. All right. I have 20 mystery seeds going. Nice, nice. Let's get some nice variety there. Hoping for consistent finishing times, as you can't clone. Well, you're never going to be able to clone autos. Not even just at the moment. You'll never be able to clone autos in the traditional sense. Consistent finishing times, we try to average around 75 days. And when I say average, what I mean is I plant 100 plants and they finish at whatever dates they finish. I take all those dates, I add them all up, and I divide by 100. That's my average finishing time. 75 days is what we go for on everything. Let's see. So you like my questions and my nutrient level, Doc? Yeah, that was a great question, Andy. And your nutrient, you should be trying the full auto nutrients when those launch, because there's a lot of people who are going to be very happy running those nutrients. Must be on the same page. Want to be friends? Talking to me? I'll be friends with everybody. A lot of your mystery seeds didn't germinate, Evo. Text us here, 405-237-9524. Shoot us a text, and we will replace, or we'll give you some store credit. Do these fabric pots fit in the bottom of an Autopot XL tray? I showed this earlier. I actually have an Autopot XL tray right here. 3 gallon, perfect fit. I like 3 gallon. 5 gallon is a squeeze. And now somebody said earlier it being a squeeze is problematic. I don't know. But you do kind of have to tuck it in there if you want to fit a 5 gallon. It's kind of, you really got to squeeze it. But it would fit. Like, it will touch the bottom, and it's in there. I don't know why that may or may not be a problem. But, I mean, it's in there. But the 3 gallon does fit perfectly just fine. So I had an Autopot XL tray waiting, ready for that question. There is a breeder that has claimed to identify the genome for photo period, direct photo to auto soon. What identify the genome doesn't really mean anything. So there are 2 genes. There are 2, there's 2 genes that are known to be responsible for the day neutral trait in autoflowers. And I don't know the names of them off the top of my head. I can get you the answer to that. It's a new keyboard. I'm still getting used to it. Okay. So there are 2 of them. There is AF1 autoflower. This doesn't seem right. I don't know. ChatGPT is saying AF1 and AF2, but that doesn't say that. It says location chromosome 1. This gene seems to control core photoperiod sensitivity when it's homozygous recessive. The plant no longer delays flowering base. Let me look that up, because I think it might be hallucinating on the names of those 2. Hold on here. Sorry, guys. you know, let me challenge ChatGPT. Okay, here we go. So there is Constans-like gene, CSCOL1, which regulates flowering time, controlling the expression of flowering locus T, FT. See, that's right. That's what I remember. Yeah. And then there is flowering locus T homolog, CSFT. So there are two genes. There are two genes that science has identified, like, okay, these are the two, either both or one of them, when activated or not activated, determines whether the plant is an autoflower or not. So when you say direct photo to auto soon, I'm not sure what you mean there. You have to be a little bit more. Someone says Daz left to start Night Owl. Right, that's I don't know the precise story and what his affiliation with Mephisto was, but that's what people have said out there. But you know, you don't always believe what you hear. Did the lowrider autos back then? Did the lowrider auto back then? Very light spot. Lowrider is like, it's like a different species compared to what we're producing these days. I actually have some lowrider seeds, but those little Christmas tree, tiny little things, totally different. We're so much closer to photo period quality and structure and yields. You know, pound per plant, totally within reason, especially with auto pots. Like, we got number of 1 pound plants out of this room. We got people in this chat right now who consistently get over 1 pound per plant with our genetics. Have you considered selling STS kits? 2020 is offering them, but I feel like there's still room in that market to share for. So I have considered selling the STS. We have like the best STS recipe. I'm not going to tell our STS recipe. That is intellectual property that we don't share with anybody. Like even our closest friends, we don't share that one with, because that took us literally like 8 generations of refining that to get it to the point where it's a single spray and you can spray one branch without affecting the rest of the plant. I've considered selling it, haven't really gone that much further into that thought other than considering it. Also, considered selling pollen too. We have a big pollen library, and I was thinking about selling pollen. But it's gonna be, if I'm gonna sell it, it's gonna be really expensive, just because of how many seeds you can make with just a tiny amount of pollen. Just reposting for you to see the question. Have you considered selling STS? Right. So that's my answer to that. No, Rockbud converted some caps. I guess you're saying Rockbud took some capulator genetics, bred them with an auto, and then stabilized it into an auto. But you're not taking a photo and turning it into an auto. You're taking a photo and you're breeding it with an auto, and then you are refining it and stabilizing it and doing your best to maintain those traits that you really liked in the photo period while still producing an auto that finishes in 75 days or less and has good yield and all that other stuff. But you're trying to maintain those traits that you like from the photo. So you have to plant a lot of them, and you have to do a lot of generations to get there. Capulator is known for Mac 1, right? Yeah, as far as I know. Daz is the man. Never spoken with him. Does great work. Night Owl genetics are fantastic. I tell people to try Night Owl all the time. Autos have definitely caught up to photos in the last decade. Not quite, but we are getting there. And that's what I love about being an auto breeder, is that we can go somewhere. We have somewhere we have improvement to make. Like the fact that we have become so, I don't want to say so popular, but like the fact that people even know who we are, the fact that people are buying our genetics, and that I was able to quit everything else I was doing and just run speedrun, is because I was able to start with auto flowers that were not great and do a ton of selective breeding and make them better. And in photo periods, there's not really room to make stuff that much better. And that market is so oversaturated and competitive, and just there's assholes out there in that market. In the photo periods, this has been amazing. I've had such an amazing a short career in being an autoflower breeder, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. So, yeah, if you can probably hear my enthusiasm. Sorry if I missed it. Are the Pheno Hunt books out now? Yeah. Pheno Hunt books. I'm going to be putting up the PDF file for. Every time I hear PDF file, whatever. I'm going to be putting up the PDF of it. I went through it earlier. It is, yeah, it's copywritten now. So it will be available. I'm going to mail it out to, a bunch of people. I sent out a bunch with stamps. They took forever to get there, and then some of them didn't even get there as far as I know. But yeah, this we're I don't know. We might make it available like for sale for a couple bucks. $5. I don't know, $6 or whatever. It's a booklet. I'll sign the back of every single one. And then also there will be a digital, and we're going to put it on the website so that instead of just having to like submit answers, you'll be able to like click 1 through 10. Thank you for the question, Tim. Renaissance era for autos, pretty exciting. Absolutely, it is a genetic renaissance. Great way to put it. Yes, thank you for answering that question, Soil. Yeah, I need a speed run complete seed pack, please. I'm good. Other autos. I think I understand what you mean there. Yeah, come. The website just went back up today. It's going to be the old website for another like day or so, but then definitely before Friday, new website's coming up, entirely new website. I got an amazing web developer where I was like, okay, what if I were to describe the website that I want and you were to make it? How much would that cost? And we paid $8,000 for a new website, and I'm super excited for it to go up. Yeah, so before the end of the week, you're going to see a brand new speedrunseeds.com. Any unique chemotypes in the works? You mentioned garlic. Yeah, so chemotypes is a specific thing other than terpene profiles. Now, here's something. So everybody talks about terpene profiles. What they don't talk about is VSC profiles, volatile sulfur compounds. Those are what are responsible for your things like that garlic smell, or okay, you take a bunch of broccoli and you put it in a steamer and you cook it. You take a bunch of cauliflower, you put it in a steamer and you cook it. Everybody in the house knows mom's cooking broccoli because it stinks. You know what that is? Sulfur compounds. That's what you smell in cannabis. So when you talk about terpenes, that's not the whole thing. So chemotypes actually is a good way to phrase it, because it is more than just terpenes. It's more than just bioflavonoids. Volatile sulfur compounds are so poorly covered and talked about so little in the cannabis industry. And there's these companies that are producing cannabis terpenes, either botanical or hemp-derived cannabis terpenes. Where's the sulfur compounds? How do you make it funky? How do you make it skunky, gassy, cheesy? Sulfur compounds, and people are not talking about them. Those are what we're going for, and you can't even really get them tested. You can't get your plants tested for sulfur compound content. So, like, I think there's an evolution that needs to happen in the cannabis industry in order to focus on those, and for us breeders to be able to quantify and identify those compounds and breed toward what we want in those. Speedrun beans can take a ridiculous high EC level. I know from experience. We've bred them to be able to handle that nutrient load. That's one of our biggest breeding criteria. Plant structure, nutrient tolerance. Those are like the two speedrun pillars that make speedrun genetics what they are. Very true. I was just running at 4.3 EC outdoors. Damn. That's crazy, mad scientist. Anthro, you hunting 5,000 plants indoor or out? Outdoor for those big numbers, indoors. So like our capacity in this grow room, which is the grow room that we do social media stuff in, our capacity is about 600 plants. So we'll have, like a few strains that are already ours. We've already put all that stabilization work into. So we don't need 10,000 of them because we've already done that. So now we'll start with, 200. and we'll narrow it down to like 5. So we're still doing that like 1%, top 1% of them. However, we're just doing, now that we've already, stabilized and brought the genetics to where we want them to be, we don't need those giant numbers anymore. We can get the same effect that we need out of a couple hundred. So that's in this room, that's our capacity. In the other breeding rooms, we have about 2,500 square feet otherwise, and our capacity there is more like we can start closer to 1,000, 1,200 plants. And yeah, so like just kind of the same concept, it just scales up and down like that. You son of a bitch, you got me. You deserve that like. Me? What did I get? Who did I get? Chirp sneeze, going down smooth as we speak. Hell yeah. Fortress. That's sweet. Blows my mind. There's people smoking our genetics right now as they're talking to me live. It's crazy. I've been growing Mephistos, Fastbuds, and Sweet Seas. Do you think your genetics will be better than the breeders I named? I don't call myself better than anybody. I'll let the people in the chat answer that, but like we do things that those breeders don't do. We breed for things that those breeders don't breed for. And I like my genetics a lot more than those. But I'm not going to say I'm better than anybody. If you had gotten pollen from a monster plant like that 57-ounce granite haze that finished in under 100 days, do you think that would move the genetic pool forward meaningfully? Okay, so the genotype and the phenotype. Now, you can have environmental factors that contributed to that massive 55-ounce plant that was grown by the Columbus Cannabis Cup on Instagram. She did amazing. I believe it was she did an amazing job on that thing. It was crazy. Nobody believed it, so I had her send me all this evidence. I was like, show me, multiple videos of you dumping it and weighing it, and it was legit. It was a legit 55-ounce granite haze. It was like over 3 pounds or whatever. So now, if you were to take pollen off of that and cross it with another granite haze, let's say, there is a chance that that trait, that genetic trait that allowed for it to process the nutrients, to process higher light intake, to get to that point, for the inputs that you're giving it environmentally, for it to be able to take that load and to get to 3 pounds in under 100 days. There's a very good chance that you could translate that genotype, that the genetic makeup into a genetic line. Or it might not work out like that. It could just be that, there's some recessive traits that are not going to come out in that next. It might require more work. So it's very possible. Hard to know the answer though. I might just bite the bullet and buy some granite haze and try it out. I'm not anybody to tell anybody to buy anything. I'm here to talk about my passion, and honestly, if you're skeptical about it, Miguel, how about I will give you a store credit code. You can get some granite haze for free. Try it out and come back in 3 months or 75 days and tell us on that live stream whenever you harvest how you liked it. If you're in the U.S., text our support number 405-237-9524, and I will give you a store credit code to get a pack of granite haze for free. I'm thinking about downsizing from 7 to 5 gallon. Yeah, it's all about what your goals are. For us, our goals are large plants, but still maximizing the number of plants that we can manage in our rooms. So 3 gallon for us in auto pots is really what we like. Outside of auto pots, 5 gallon. Ricky, how do you know you got the plant you're looking for? Do you pollinate all your plants before 100% knowing you got this one plant, or how do you do it? Hunting autos is different. Yeah, okay. So I was saying before, so let's say, okay, just for nice even numbers, let's say we start with 100 plants. And of those 100 plants, we killed 50 before we even got to flower. Throughout the flowering phase, the early flowering phase, let's say, all right, so we have 50 plants now. Let's say 30 of them they don't start flowering early enough, quickly enough, because that means they're not going to finish in time for 75 days. So they don't start flowering fast enough, so we kill those. So now we got 20 plants. Okay, of those 20 plants, they started early enough, but they didn't start producing trichomes early enough. They didn't start getting frosty early enough, which means they're not going to be super frosty at the end. The ones that are always super frosty, they start getting frosted out with rails and all that really early. So let's say 5 of them, 10 of them don't produce trichomes fast enough. Now we got 10 plants left. Of those 10, we're going to take two lower branches, and reverse those lower branches. So as those lower branches mature, we have a process where we cut them off right before they drop the pollen. We take them elsewhere. We have a procedure where we're able to extract the pollen elsewhere. And now we have 10 plants that are contenders to breed with, to be pollinated. And we have 10 different pollens. So we might not make seeds with those 10 plants, but we have the option. Now we've kept the genetic code of those, with that pollen from those. So if we want to use that, let's say we have one that was really tall, but it was also really frosty. So like too tall, too lanky, really frosty. And we don't have a really short, stubby one that we want to breed it with to even them out in that run. So our next run, hey, we have that really tall, lanky, frosty one. Why don't we use that pollen? Because we take notes on all of our pollen. So the pollens have a number. Let's say, so it's a granite haze, and it's the GHC7. Like that, I said C7 because that's my favorite plant from the room this run is granite haze C7. I have got some that is dried and trimmed sitting right over there, actually. So how do we know you got the plant you're looking for? Well, we collect pollen from every contender, and then we pollinate the best. And that's how, that's how we know we captured the right stuff. Have you noticed that there is one plant that always seems to dominate the others on the Trader Go? No. It's been nice and even. Speedrun is the fastest growing auto seed company coming America right now. Yeah, it's very possible that we are the fastest growing autoflower seed company ever. What's your opinion on using stuff like kelp, fulvic, and humic? I've noticed people starting to stray away from stuff like that because of how dirty it looks. Yeah, so it depends on what system you're running. It depends on the fulvic and humic acids. Those are, that's what I'm looking for. Chelators. Fulvic and humic acids are chelators, so they're able to help the uptake of micronutrients. If you're running a system like full auto, for example, or let's just say you're running Canna Cocoa, you don't need humic and fulvic acid really. If you have a good pH and you're feeding at the right rate and you're feeding with a good balance of micronutrients, those micronutrients are going to be available. And a lot of the time, those micronutrients are already chelated. Like you're chelated. So you'll look at your derived from on your plant's guarantee analysis on the label, and it'll say chelated iron, or chelated manganese chelate or iron chelate. So that really kind of removes the necessity of fulvic and humic. Kelp, again, if you're running an organic program, yeah, use your humics. Use your humic and fulvic are similar. They serve a similar purpose. And kelp, yeah, add it in there. Like throw in the kitchen sink because it's more of an art form than science at that point. Speedrun Seeds, thanks for offering, but you hooked it up when I made my purchase, so I'm pretty happy even with my germination rates. Thank you, though. I'm not happy with that. I would like to get you something, dude. Let's please allow me to. I insist. Please contact me through the text number. I insist on fixing the issue that you had. I argue that speedrun is world class, in my opinion. I'm shocked this stream doesn't have 1,000 people in it right now. Yeah, we're still building up this YouTube channel. Yeah, so one day maybe. Yeah, I had the same issue, but with all the freebies, I can't complain. With the freebies. Turner? Hey, guys, if there's ever a germination issue, we back up our germination we will get you replacement seeds or store credit, man. Like, shit happens sometimes. You know, seeds, they can be damaged, they can experience moisture, heat, whatever it is. Shit happens, you know, and we stand behind our product. And I always want to make sure that I give you what you paid for. And if you paid for something and freebies came with it, that's part of what you paid for. So don't do the whole thing where it's like, no, you gave me freebies, dude. Get what you can from me, man. Like, it doesn't cost me the same to make the seeds as it, you know, is what I charge you guys. You know, there's a profit margin there, obviously. Take advantage of me in that way. Ben, when it comes, I think you meant Ben. Ben, when it comes to genetic traits, does it matter if the donor or, I'm going to say recipient for dominant traits? Also, how long do you let your seeded plants go? Okay, so when it comes to genetic traits, does it matter if the donor? So not really, no. So there's dominant and then there's recessive traits. And the traits can come from either parent. It's a 50-50, just like humans, you know. If the dad has blonde hair or the mom has blonde hair, that trait can still come down to the kid, and it's equal. It's not like the female or the male is more likely to pass on that. It's just how dominant is that trait, really, is what it is. We let him go to the point of like Crypt Keeper, fucking dead. Like, just we want those seeds to really fucking before, you know, the risk of mold. We don't let it go that far, but like we let them go far enough to make sure that all of our seeds have matured to the point that's, you know, maximum possible. 100% germ rate for me so far. Good, awesome. And you know what's going to help those 100% germination rates? Germinating the right way with speed starter. What do I call these? This thing. Germinating the right way with this thing. It's been a long day. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Thanks, Dave. Get a can. No, don't get a can. Get a speed run. What's a can? Get a speed run speed starting kit. That's right. That's what it is. I'm not even sure why it works so well. Blah, 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 blah. I use plugs and kelp and keep them moist. Till I see a root pop out the bottom. Mystery seeds, mostly all germinated, but fatality was 50%. Fatality, that's like we have almost 100% germination rates every time we do a run on that one. Sounds like maybe, I don't know, something's going on with the pack that you got or something. That was the one I was most excited to grow. Well, let me fix it for you, buddy. You know, I'll even send you a germination kit. Yeah, like there's with these, somebody was talking about keep them moist until you see a root pop out the bottom. If you weren't here earlier, that's the cool thing about these is that they work with air pruning. So there is an air gap. There's a gap between the bottom of this speed starter and the I forgot there's seeds in here. Shit, gotta be careful. And the bottom of this. So the plugs don't protrude out the bottom unless you push them too far down. And if you did push them too far down, how that ended up all the way over there? Jesus. If you did push them too far down, just push them back up. Like, just make sure that you slide them back up just a little bit so that they're not protruding out the bottom there. And then there's an air gap in between that bottom and the floor here so that taproot peeks out the bottom, looks around, and says, I should have made a left at Albuquerque, you know? And it's air prunes the taproot, and it causes lateral root development where you end up with roots all around the sides of the tray where the moisture is, or the plug where the moisture is. And that gives you root systems that you get a kickstart to your lateral root development, outward root growth. That's how those work, and they work very well. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. How do you store pollen? How long is it good for? We store pollen in airtight jars. You actually have there's a couple that we still have to put into the vault. Yeah. Okay. So here's an example of a pollen jar. This one happens to be Dreamcast, and so it's got this little barrier, and you can see there is pollen in there. There's pollen. So we will store. Oops, I'll put the little thing back. We store them in these amber glass. Amber glass helps protect it from the light. And then these will go into a vacuum sealed container with moisture silica packs. And then we'll go into a cool, dark place. You try to keep it at around 50 degrees or below. We don't like freezing or refrigeration just because there can sometimes be moisture involved with refrigeration and freezing. So we just keep them in the coolest place we possibly can, in the dark, in amber glass, airtight, vac sealed silica packs. I started with rapid rooters. They work very well too, but the can is just too cool. Rapid rooters, not a huge fan of their composition, and these plugs are the best that we've ever used. Yeah. I recommend, even if you just buy a refill pack, don't buy the whole kit. You know what? It's $15, whatever. But like the refill packs will be way cheaper than that. Try just the plugs. Buy yourself just the refill pack once they're up on the site. Try them yourself, and you'll see. That's why they're called root riots. Yeah, fuck root riots. Trust me on that. These do a side by side. We will do a side by side. I'll go buy some root riots, and we'll side by side test. So how much pollen would be if you had to throw out a number, like cost wise? I don't have any. Yeah, here we go. I have the seed jars right here. So look, there's seeds in this one. Whatever. I'll dump the seeds out. Hold on one sec. I will give you guys a visual. I wonder what strain these are. Does anyone want 5 free mystery seeds? Okay, and I'm going to peel this label off so that you can see what's in there. And I need some sort of utensil. I'll just use some scissors. Okay, give me a minute here. Let me use a different one. So the way that we extract some of our pollen, sometimes we do end up with a little bit of like plant matter in there because we let the branch dry, and then we'll crush it up and we'll extract all the pollen with a 150 micron screen. So sometimes little flecks of plant matter end up in there, and this one does have some plant matter. So let me grab a different one out of these most recent fresh pollen jars. Here's a Granite Haze F6 number B10. Fuck it, whatever. This one was a dry extraction also, but it's fine. This is just for a visual. We wouldn't really sell any pollen that has the plant matter in it. I mean, maybe, but it's a minimal amount. It's like 90% pollen in there. However, it does make it like a little bit green, like green color versus like that bright yellow that you like to see with pollen. I think more it's just like kind of visually off-putting, if anything, but it's still just as potent. And then when we do sell pollen, because I think we eventually probably will start selling pollen, we're going to offer probably 3 different options. We'll offer straight pollen, and then we will offer a 1 to 10 dilution with cornstarch, which is the dilution, the powder that you use in order to spread, because you only need 1 granule of pollen per pistil, per, little white hair on your plant. You only need 1 single granule of pollen to pollinate that, to make 1 seed. And if you know how small a granule of pollen is, you'll know that you are wasting your pollen if you're not diluting it before using it. So we'll offer a 1 to 10 dilution and a 1 to 20 dilution. And obviously the 1 to 10 will be a little bit more potent, and the 1 to 20 is a really good, that's the dilution that we use for pollinating our plants. So here, this is about the amount that we would sell. And we would sell it, this amount I would probably, and now this is the straight pollen, you know, like, I wouldn't sell it with a cork because some is going to stick to the cork. I would probably sell it with like a rubber cap, but like, that's the amount that we would sell. And something like this, probably about $250. And the reason it's so expensive is because you can make thousands of seeds with this. So like this amount of pollen, if used properly, you can make so much more than $250 worth of seeds. And where else are you going to get this? But, you know, like this is the only this in the world. So it's like, yeah, it's you see the small amounts of it that we collect. So there's high value to us and high value potential to anybody who would buy it. So it might sound expensive, but that's what it would be. I'm not live at the bottom yet. I'm interested to see what the reactions are to that price. Where did you get the White Widow for your newest Pheno? Fuck, man. That was one of the original 115, somewhere in Europe. It was one of the European seed banks. I'm not positive which one at the moment. They have a few names. I don't know what we're talking about there. You can get Smoky Stash for Night Owl. It moves like Speed Run seeds. I got one right now. Looks to be a pound plant. Yeah, man. A Night Owl, they put out some great stuff. We just kind of breed for different things. Please keep focusing on this project. You're absolutely killing it right now. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Nah, autos are better than photos in every way except for pest management. I'll do a whole stream on pest management. I will solve your pest management problem in one live stream, guaranteed, or your money back. It was just named White Widow, probably not the right. Well, okay. So, and if you see a White Widow in ours, we are calling it what if we bought it and it was called White Widow, that's what we're calling it. I don't believe that we bought, like, we have a Jack Herer auto that we got in that 150 or a couple hundred strains that we bought. I don't believe that's Jack Herer. It's bullshit. These companies, the ones that we bought from ILGM, we bought from Royal Queen Seeds, we bought from everybody out there. And a Jack Herer auto, bullshit. No, they're just something that smelled vaguely hazy. They're calling it Jack Herer. But we're calling it what we're not going to change the name. So, yeah. Andy's explaining it was just named White Widow, probably not the original White Widow. Definitely not the original White Widow cut. I can tell you it's not a real White Widow. That's just what it was called when we got it. All right. How do you know that you've found the autoflower in your hunt? Do you pollinate all your plants before you actually know if one of them is the right one? I feel like I answered this question. But, we just kind of go on quality and we collect pollen from all of the contenders. And then, we pollinate as necessary. Drop some more Pheno hunt packs, Ben. I need one in my life very soon. White Widow is my favorite photo. That's really exciting to hear. Yeah, I think I might have broken your heart a little bit about it being not real White Widow. Esther's too. Yeah, Esther's is a thing. Bobby's Widow from Gnome has White Widow. Dynafem's cut as a parent. Yeah, okay, right. So if there's like a legitimate White Widow photo period cut that has provenance and lineage that you can track, and everybody agrees who is aware of it that this is White Widow, sure, that's a totally different thing. I'm talking about buying a White Widow auto from Royal Queen Seeds. You're not getting White Widow. You're not. And I'll do a brief little rant on this. Beefsteak tomatoes. There are multiple organizations across the world where you can get, sorry, man, I'll adjust my Zin real quick. You know what? I'm gonna swap. I'm gonna do a little quick hot swap. Zin swap. This is Zemo, not Zin. God, these fucking blueberry ones are disgusting. Okay, beefsteak tomatoes. If I have a beefsteak tomato, I can send a genetic sample of that and have it tested. And there are multiple organizations, trusted organizations, where there's a scientific consensus This has been tested. This is genetically a beefsteak tomato. There are no organizations centrally across the world, within the United States, where you can test something and say, this is white widow. There is no genetic reference sample. So there are giant warehouses, there are companies that have reference samples of everything. A reference sample of a cigarette, a reference sample of a pencil eraser, a reference sample so that you can compare it and say, yes, without a doubt, this is a pencil eraser. This is it's a Condoroga pencil lid. This is whatever. This is a cigarette. You know, like there are reference samples for things in the scientific community. There are no reference samples for cannabis strains, and there's not a reference sample for sativa and indica. You can't look at something genetically and say, yes, that's a sativa. Yes, that's an indica because we can compare it to this pure sativa or this pure indica that we have saved as a reference sample in the form of a tissue culture, in the form of seed, in the form of, you know, plant tissue, or actual plant. There exists no centrally organized, you know, organization or body that holds those reference, and those references don't exist. So you can't say something is definitely white widow, because white widow is an ethereal, it's a concept, it's an idea, it's not a physical thing. And if you want to take that Bobby's Widow or what Dynafem cut of White Widow, and everybody wants to agree, Dynafem has White Widow, and we're going to put that cut in tissue culture, and we're going to say, okay, now this is the reference sample for White Widow. Everything else needs to be this genetically, or so similar to this genetically that we can call it White Widow. And if it doesn't compare, if it doesn't match up with Dynafem's cut of White Widow, then it's not White Widow. If everybody wants to do that, that's okay, great. Then that's real White Widow. But until that happens, real White Widow doesn't exist because it can't be compared. There's no reference sample. They are far more susceptible to outdoor pests than photos. Not if you're using a good pest control regimen, which I'm happy to talk about in a live stream that's not almost already 2 hours long. There were always autoflower seeds. He's just looking for different traits. Right. We do not do photo to auto. I mean, we are working on some of those, but that's not our thing. Like, you know, night owl, gnome, rockbud, whatever. If they want to, look, if you're breeding photos, you're taking photos and making photos. We just choose to stay within the class of autos. And we're taking autos that weren't great and we're making them great. That's what we specialize in. So a lot of people talk about, so you need to do a photo to autocross. That's not what we do. Like, that's just, we do something else. Night owl or Mephisto or rockbud or gnome, they're not out there doing 20, 30,000 plant pheno hunts, because that's not their, they do the other thing. What they do is just as much, just as important, just as impressive, just as good, I would say, as what we do. It's just different. Okay. Okay, surprised you say that. I just did 8 plant auto run outdoors, no bugs at all. I ran a test including many of those names for my first grow. Speed run outperformed all of them. Cool. That's cool to hear, Alex. I've done something like that. Grower skill level will also play a huge part in growing the plant for size terps. Absolutely. What? Miguel, well, I don't know what you were reacting to. If it was the free store credit, yeah, hit me up for it. I'm good for it. Skeptical 2, just kidding. Vigor. We breed for vigor. Yes, Granite Haze F6 has had the most dense buds I've ever grown, by far. That's what we're going for. Try double jump, like golf balls. Yeah, super dense strain too. Terp sneeze is like crack, smoking through my stock quick. Yeah, I love terp sneeze. That was one of my babies. Terp sneeze is a bend strain for sure. Great smoke, carefree indica. Fuck, I keep clicking comments by accident. Blappleberry, we grew, went past golf balls and was heading toward tennis balls territory. I got so many amazing pictures. Hell yeah. I got some of those beans, Dave. I might have to pop one soon. Definitely pop one. Don't know which ones you're talking about, but pop it. I meant for density. Blappleberry is fantastic, but it made me eat everything in my house. That Blappleberry does that to me also. It's flavorful one as well. Iceman, I appreciate the insight as always. Canna already had fulvic acid incorporated. Okay, yeah, so if there's fulvic in Canna, that's why you don't need it. It's high of an EC. Sure. I don't know if that that logic checks out, that you don't need as high of an EC because it has fulvic acid incorporated. That those two things are not they don't equate. Fulvic acid just helps with uptake of your micronutrients. Sent it to my son at Miami, and him and his roommates love it. Speed run for my autos and Native Sun for my photos. High end both. Nice. I'll have to check out Native Sun. Figured it would be hard to say who's at fault since so many mess up germination being included. Yeah, germination can be fucked. That's why I'm trying to standardize it for you guys with these trays. And we're not putting them out at a crazy price or anything. We want everybody to be able to enjoy them. I know you stand behind your stuff. You're good, Ben. Well, still, like, I'm always insistent on making sure that I make people whole and make people good if something happens. Sometimes my communication isn't the best, but I always want to make sure that I do right by people. Soulfire is really good genetics. I've heard of them. Never tried their stuff. Evo 1. I wish. Can't wait. I need that. How much? Don't know what that is. Speed starter. Yes, the speed starters are going to be put on the website. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. Will definitely be on the new website. I sent a text to the number. I'm actually excited to try some speed run C's. Now, hell yeah, Miguel. I'm on the phone that text would have come to, so it's like I guess it does like a do not disturb thing while I'm in, but I'll answer your text after this. Germination station. Hell yeah. My identity is what? He, him? I'm so old school, I need help. Of course, thanks. Speed starting trays, Ben. Speed starting trays, yes. Daphne, hey, Daphne. Andy Dodds, would you ever do a bottle of liquid micros as part of the Full Auto brand? I run custom salts, but would totally pay for a bottle of your micros or Full Auto salts. Okay, so we did Full Auto salts a long time ago. That was when I was still working with my former business partner before I took over the company entirely. And I was pressured into charging way too much for them. That was not my finest hour. Okay, so the micronutrients are built into Full Auto. It's not like a separate micro. They are built into Full Auto. So the answer to that is no. I can recommend Biomin, Biomin, makes individual micronutrient liquids at 5%. I believe they're chelated, and you can get manganese, iron, copper. They make all the micronutrients, and you can get them in a bottle, little quart bottle. Biomin by Safer. Safer is the brand, I believe. So go check them out if you want micronutrients. Full Auto is a liquid line, yes. Used to be salt, right? Yeah. They're not the same. Like this liquid formulation doesn't contain the old salts. This liquid formulation is completely reformulated, and we're hitting numbers, ppms that are similar in a lot of ways, different in some ways, but completely reformulated, different ingredients, patented formula, amazing shit. You'll see it when you try it. Dreamcast. Oh, I made that face after Dreamcast. How much for that? Yeah, I remember like 2.5 years ago. How much for that, Turner? If you were saying when I was holding up that pollen jar, like $250 is what, like little half a jar would be, pretty much. When you're ready to sell, let me know. If you're talking about the pollen, yeah, I mean, you'll see it. You'll hear about it if you're following our socials. Send those beans. I'd love some free seeds. Growing some God Particle and Fatality right now in autopots. It's going great. Beginner grower. Fuck yeah, Keach. Nice. Pollen. Keep the new stuff flowing. Yes. Is pollen legal in the EU? That's a good question. I mean, I don't know that they would be able to even identify it as pollen. Good. You know what? I am sitting in front of a computer, and everybody likes the sound of a mechanical keyboard, so why don't I look it up? This, and I want to say in the United States and or the EU/Australia, etc. I don't know if you guys can hear this keyboard through my mic, but I don't know, it's clicky. I like this one. That's a great and very relevant question. United States, cannabis pollen, federally illegal if from a high THC plant. It's considered part of the cannabis plant. So actually, under the hemp bill, since pollen contains little or no THC and it comes from a cannabis plant, it's actually probably considered hemp material. So it is legal in that way. Actually, I know that's what ChatGPT says. But pollen from legally defined hemp is federally legal under the two. There's no way that they would be able. They're not going to genetically test it. So yeah, I mean, European Union, more complicated because every EU country has its own cannabis laws, even though they follow EU-wide frameworks. Netherlands and Spain. Pollen is technically illegal if derived from drug-type cannabis, but enforcement is lax, especially for personal or small-scale breeding. Basically, you'll get away with it. Don't have to worry about it. Germany, France, and Italy. Pollen from THC-rich cannabis is considered illegal. Hemp pollen is legal for industrial agricultural use. There's no way they'll be able to tell the difference. Australia, same thing. Drug-type cannabis pollen is illegal. Hemp pollen is legal. You'll be fine if you have pollen in your possession, or if we're selling pollen and you buy it, you'll be fine. Sign me up on the pollen. That's more than fair. Cool. I love having pollen around in case something special pops up. Keep it expensive. That stuff's gold. Keep it expensive. Keep it expensive. I guarantee autoflowers pollen. I'd pay that all day. Okay. So it sounds like $250 for half a jar. Everybody's kind of consensus that, yeah, you agree with me. That's a pretty good price. Now, I don't know what that weighs. I'll put it on a milligram scale. I want to make sure I give a consistent amount to everybody. But if it weighs like nothing because pollen is so light, I'm going to have to figure that out. I might just have to do it volumetrically. These are half milliliter jars, and I might just, like mark it half full. And that's what you're going to get. Whether some pollen might be heavier than others, I'm not sure. I'm down for some pollen. Might need that pollen. I got Venmo 250. All right, you want to buy some pollen right now? I'll give you 3 options. It's going to be granite haze only right now. Okay. All right, here we go. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to pollen, I have never shipped pollen. There is always the chance that it arrives and it is not as viable as it should be. In that case, I will refund your money, or I'll give you a partial refund if it doesn't. We're going to call this a pilot program here. If anybody in this chat is interested in purchasing some pollen at the price that I listed earlier, I will sell some pollen to you. Now, I am selling it earnestly and honestly, knowing that these pollens work right now because we just used them and they've been stored properly and collected properly. However, in transit, something could happen, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware that I will stand behind it and we'll get it figured out if it doesn't work, because you're talking 3 months from now using it if you're starting a plant now. Or if you have a plant that's ready to pollinate right this second, we'll get it out to you. I'll put it on ice probably and ship it FedEx overnight maybe. So we might need to work some FedEx, some fast shipping into that price. I'm kind of thinking thinking out loud right now. I'm going to go down to live because we're talking to people, and yeah. So you've got your granite haze. You choose between B1 and B5. Here, I'll show you. I'll put some in a jar of the B5. And like I said before, there might be a little bit of plant matter in the pollen because of how we collect it, but it's not like a large percent, and pollen is still perfectly usable when there's a little bit of plant matter in it. So, get you, scoop some in here. Let's do this without dropping any on my pants. God. Okay. Let's do this. Let's get that lid back on. All right. Now, this, I might have to ship it with a cork. You're not going to lose. I mean, some pollen might stick to the cork. Maybe just take the cork and rub it on a bud that you want to use. But actually, that's a little bit too full. Put a little bit back. Hold your horses. Okay. I'm going to try this again. Okay. All right, there we go. That's a better way of doing this. There's probably $50 worth of pollen on my fingers right now. I don't give a fuck. Okay, so I'm gonna top that off a little bit. I'll make sure it's like half full, totally half full. This is Granite Haze F6, number B5, and somebody wants to buy that. You know, I'm gonna top it off a little bit more for $250. I'll sell it. I'll put it on ice. I'll ship it out. I'll have to figure out what, like, overnight. I think it's like $30 for overnight shipping, but I want to make sure that it's like not sitting in a hot mail truck. So I feel weird, you know, like something's already $250, charging an extra 30 on top of that. It just makes me queasy. But if it's something that you guys want and you understand that there's a reason why I would ship it overnight on an ice pack, and you want to pay for that, that's your God-given right in the United States of America. God bless us all. Okay. I can top this off camera, but B5. If you want, I can pull up the, there we go. That's half full. I can pull up the notes on B5 and read them off to you. And then, all right, so I'm gonna put a dot on this one so I know it's B5. Okay, so what do you want me to do on camera? Certain stuff that, you know, might need like OnlyFans, but yeah. So this is Granite Haze F6 B5, and then I'll make a little jar of B1, and I think I've been very clear on this stream about all the caveats here and the fact that I have not sold pollen before, and I do not have any idea like how well it travels, and that's why I would kind of go straight to the overnight on ice, just to try to, you know, keep it as safe as possible. But you know, there's a first for everything, and I kind of prefer the first people who are buying the pollen to be customers of former customer, or people who have been customers and know who I am and know what I'm about and trust me, so that if something doesn't work as it should, then I'm good and we'll make it right. All right, so this is B1. And I'll make sure that they are totally even. Like, it looks like the B1 has a little bit more in there. So I'll put a little bit more in the... I'll take a little bit out of the B1. Because that's a little bit more than... Oh, you know what? No, I'll put a little bit more in the B5. Okay. Which the scissors I use for the B5? What was this one? Tiny bit more. So there are 2 pollens available for sale. There's also, I could also do a terp sneeze. If somebody would prefer terp sneeze pollen, I could do a third. It's upstairs though. I could go get it. Oh, there we go. Okay, that should make it even. It's kind of like anybody out there who has a beard, or a mustache, where you trim one side, and then you're like, fuck, it's too short. So you trim the other side, and then you end up with a Hitler. That's what I feel like right now. Like, it's like, oh, fuck, now there's more than that one. Now I got to add, whatever. Those look pretty even to me. Okay, so B5 has the mark on it. B1 doesn't. Those are for sale. Yeah, I think $275 with shipping. And then I was gonna order some nice paintbrushes, but I have little paintbrushes, and 5 paintbrushes would be included with a little jar like that. And then now, you also have the option for me to dilute this 1 to 20 or 1 to 10 with cornstarch before sending it to you, which does help keep it stable, and from caking, and protects it from moisture, and also dilutes it so that you can spread out your this amount of pollen to your plant better. Now, if you want me to dilute it 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, I'll take that same amount and I'll dilute it volumetrically. What? Somebody, you said, Turner, you saying you already sent the money? Adrian, yeah, don't worry. You can reach out next week. This is, like I said, this is like a pilot. This is a pilot thing, and I'm not like 1,000% certain about any of this. Very, very cool that you guys are willing to kind of work with me on it and trust and understand where I'm coming from with it. But yeah, okay. So Turner, did you get the B5 or the B1? Let me know which one you got, and I will set that aside for you, and that will be yours. Please cut it. 1 to 20, more stable. 1 to 20 is what we use. So we have these. Still a little cornstarch in there. So when we dilute our pollen, we dilute it 1 to 20, and we fill this chamber, not all the way, but we put it in here, and then we use this little puffer, and we puff it onto our plants. So I do have clean ones of these. If somebody wants a whole kit, like a 1 to 20 diluted and enough, to put in there and puff on your plant with this thing, this is typically for like larger pollinations. This amount you'd be using like a paintbrush to really. Somebody wants to buy a terp sneeze. Okay. I'm starting to think I should do this in a little bit more like official way. Like, I'm starting to feel weird about like the way that this is turning out. All right, Turner, you want it cut 1 to 20. I'm just gonna set aside the B5 for you right now. That's this one with the mark. that belongs to Turner. And B1, that's this one. It's right here. Somebody wants the terpenes. Okay. But you know, if you guys want me to run upstairs and grab the terpenes, I will go grab it from the office. I know that one had no. We didn't get any plant matter in that one because that was collected without having to dry the branch, I believe. No, I mean, I appreciate you. Look, again, like I've I feel like I'm saying it over and over. And hey, look, obviously, anybody who buys Pollen, you're gonna get like a fucking bunch. Merch is gonna come with it. There will be, fuck, whatever I can fit into the box. I'm along for the ride. This is all super interesting. I texted you. We'll figure it out off. We can figure it out off there. Okay. Yeah. So, trying to think how long I think I could go grab the terpenes in under 60 seconds. We're 2 hours in. I'm only gonna go for a couple more minutes. I'll go grab it real quick. Be right back. I'll leave my microphones here. There are secret sounds in the office. All right. Okay, you guys still here? Okay. This is terpenes. I don't know why I didn't put a number on this one. This is either terpenes 7 or terpenes 4. Has to be 7. So it's terpenes. This one, there was no plant matter in this one, like I said, because this was actually before we got our big shipment of amber glass jars in. So this one's going to be like a lighter color. So let me go ahead and get. I should have grabbed fucking jars. I have another one right here. Rob, you finally caught a live. Yeah, I've been on here for almost over 2 hours. So, kind of hard not to catch this one. All right. Go ahead and pull this label off. Okay. Terpenes. I got myself a little scoop here, too. Let's see what I'm doing. Isn't this interesting content? Man, how exciting this is. All right, let's see where we're at here. Any more. God, like the number of seeds that you can make with it is just crazy. This jar right here, like the big jar that I'm scooping out of, you could probably make 1,000,000 seeds with this if you used it properly. All right, let's go. I think that's probably, I'll top it off just a bit more. Should have got a bigger screwdriver head. All right, that should be good. And you see how it coats the screwdriver? That's how you know there's no moisture in it. It's nice and fluffy. Okay. Terp sneeze. So I think what the other one, see, look, you can see the difference between this one has a little bit of plant matter in it and this one does not. Now it's not a lot of plant matter, but it's enough. It's kind of flattened out. And so it's not a lot of plant matter, but it's just enough to change the color a little bit. And yeah, so I mean, that's it. We've always used it. It's worked great for us. But yeah, this is feminized pollen. So this is terp sneeze. Definitely a big color difference. That's when I'm being completely honest about everything here because this is all new to me, is selling pollen. And it's not something that is going to be like probably a regular thing. But so the color difference comes from the way we collect it. So this terp sneeze, we were able to cut the branch off, and then we were able to extract enough pollen just by laying out, like once the pollen sacs were at the point where they're opening, we lay out a big sheet of white butcher paper, and we just kind of take the branch, hit it, and then we scrape it up and collect it, and that's what you see here. Now this probably did that, but we weren't able to get all the pollen, so we dried the branch out, and then we crushed up all the plant material over a 150 micron screen and collected the pollen from under, from what passed through. So a little bit of plant matter gets in there, but yeah, that's the difference. So if anybody wants that jar of terp sneeze, see, look, and now it's settled. So like it was half full, and now that I've just tapped it on the thing, like watch, look, now it's half full again. Isn't that amazing? That's how much air can get into pollen. Like this stuff is so light. It's like a gas. If I were to open this and go, it's like a gas. It would just go everywhere. Yeah, the half a jar like that's $2.50, and then I'll split the $30 overnight, packaging and all that. Maybe, yeah, like $2.75. I think that was fair. So I got to pay for the packaging and the ice pack and all that. I'm probably going to ship it in a little cooler or something. Evo1 wants to buy that terp sneeze. He sent a text. Okay, all right. I'll mark that off for you, Evo1. That belongs to Evo1. And this one belongs to Trevor. These two are sold. Something about this makes me feel weird. It's like selling this stuff, like selling stuff on a live like this. So gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Okay, well, there is one last jar. But maybe I'll standardize this process. These two people, hey, either of you two, Turner or Evo, do you guys have plants that are ready to be pollinated soon? I'd definitely like to know the answer to that. Because I would like, if I could find out like the success of this sooner than later. Trainer? Oh, it's Trainer, sorry. I was just TRNR. My brain went Turner. You do. Awesome. Okay. So then, yeah, I'll send it, with the paintbrushes and, whatever merch I can fit in the box, and just, paint it on. I'm sending 5 paintbrushes because your paintbrushes will get sticky fast. So do your best to only touch the paintbrush to the pistil. And unfortunately, you're going to get cheap little plastic paintbrushes with this. In the future, if I do so, they're going to be nice wooden ones. Just because, it's going to be the same price, and I just want to I like to put more effort into everything. So my plan for selling pollen was for it to come in like a really nice custom box and this whole thing. But you guys have forced me into this. So you guys are the pilot people, and you're going to get taken care of extra special. But in the future, when we do sell pollen, it's going to come in like probably a nice little magnetic box and with like fancy paintbrushes and all, just because, it's a high-end product, I would say. You have speed runs in veg. Awesome. Yes. Well, yeah, I would take your plant completely out of your grow area, take it to another room. Don't do it in your grow area because pollen goes everywhere. So take it somewhere else, not outside, because it'll blow shit around. Take it somewhere where there's not a lot of air movement, and it's completely separate from your grow room. Maybe like put it in your bathroom in a tub or something, and then take the paintbrush, dip it into the pollen, and just touch it just to the pistils. Don't touch any trichomes, because that's going to get you a sticky paintbrush, and that doesn't work as well. Get some speedrun Carhartts? I am. I just ordered a bunch of new Carhartts, and I'm going to be putting a speedrun patch. Yeah, I got 10 plants going, but if I get all seed, I don't mind. Well, play around with it, Trainer, and we'll work together on it. We'll work together on it. I appreciate, the flexibility and understanding here, and you're willing to be the guinea pig. We'll work together on it. And if you don't get the results that you want, obviously we'll make sure that at some point, we'll either get you the results that you want, or give your money. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So fall is literally here. Let you purchase car. Man, these shirts are like $60 to begin with. If I were to buy these and then I could buy last year's patterns, and they're still $40. So like if I were to put the patch on there, which is probably like $7 or $8 at the local embroidery place, yeah, I'm gonna have to charge you like $70 a shirt. I don't want to do that. Go buy a Carhartt. I can give you the .dst file. Maybe iron-on patches. Yeah, maybe. I'm going to be buying a printer specifically for sublimation. I don't know if anybody here knows what sublimation is, but I have a professional, like the printer that prints out these posters, which are going to be going for sale on the website too. The printer that makes these, I am buying the same printer, and I'm going to be putting sublimation ink into it. Unfortunately, I can only sublimate onto polyester shirts. I can't do cotton, but I can get some really nice quality, polyester, polyblend or whatever. Yeah, so we'll be able to make T-shirts that are actually, the ink is actually in, like it's on. It's not like a stick on or like an iron on. It's actually, the ink is actually going into the fabric. So yeah, I will be selling some like limited run shirts and stuff. Any result or good results? I've wasted $250 on waivers. No, you're not gonna be wasting $250 no matter what. You're gonna get results that you want, whether it's, if this, for some reason, this jar doesn't do what it needs to do, we'll send you another one. We'll figure it out. You're good. That 250 has bought you viable pollen no matter what. Speed run hoodies. Look, man, everybody talks about speed run hats, shirts, hoodies. If I were to buy shirts, if I were to order speed run branded shirts or hoodies, I would have to get large, XL, medium, male, female, and then I also have to inventory them. Look, my money, my merchandise money. Hold on, sorry guys. That Zen like fell apart in my mouth. I gotta go spit this out. All right. Okay. So unisex, blah blah blah. Okay, but look, I would rather take my merchandise budget and do stuff like this. To me, this is way cooler. This is way more functional. It's not a shirt, but like, come on, isn't this better? How do I get your autos to grow big? Do you have any photos or fast flower? We don't do photos. We don't do fast flowering photos or anything. How do you get them to grow big? Buy our fertilizer when it comes out. That's gonna be in the next couple months. But especially how autos with transplants. Yeah. So big autos. You mean you have to feed them well, good environment. Run, in a inert medium. Like if you're not using our nutrients, go buy yourself some can of cocoa, get yourself an autopot set up, use, I think it's like 15 mils per gallon of the can of cocoa, like the highest feeding recommendation. Keep your environmentals in check. Go on the autoflower subreddit and learn from the knowledgeable people there. Come to the Speedrun Seeds subreddit and learn from the knowledgeable people there. And autopots, like good nutrients like can of cocoa or our nutrients when they become available. They're called full auto. And then an inert medium like Sunshine Mix number 4 is a good medium. So if you use that and then, go back in my lives, the live streams that I've done and look what I've said, and you'll be good. You'll grow big plants. Yeah. So look, the reason that in social media, people don't post pictures of themselves in cannabis social media. They post pictures of their plants, and they post pictures of like, if they do post pictures of themselves, usually like it's like an arm holding a plant or something. So like there's a few exceptions, like Autopotamus, like, okay, yeah, I should send him a speedrun shirt for sure. But like other people, the way that my merch dollars go the furthest is when they also double as advertising dollars. So look, if I spend my merch money, my merch budget on something like this, and it's in your tent, and you take 10 pictures and post them on the internet with this big old speedrun logo right in everybody's face, that doubles my benefit. I made the money from selling you this pot, and I also got that advertising in there. So now if I sell you a speedrun shirt, how likely are you to post a picture of yourself on Instagram or Reddit? Much less likely. So that's my logic in how I spend my because I budget everything out. Like I have a certain amount of money that I can spend on merchandise, and the things that I've put together, like we got, these plugs are specifically made for this seed starting tray. I designed this insert, like every millimeter of this was designed by me. This exists nowhere else in the world. I'll show you what it was before. Look, this is what originally came from the manufacturer. This turned into this. And look, I had cut out the bottom of this one to show the manufacturer what I wanted. But this is what these looked like originally. They had this bottom with this stupid hole here. Now, this is what we ended up with. Like, there's a big difference. You see all this, like, empty space here because we had to shrink them down to fit for the size of the plugs. Like my merchandise money went into making a new mold for them to, they don't sell, the manufacturers don't sell these to anybody else. They have a mold that is for me only, and they molded these and made these for me only because I gave them the specifications and I did that. So like, that's what I spend my money on with merch, not t-shirts, because this is so much cooler to me. That's it. All right, guys. I'm starting to get exhausted. It's been 2.5 hours. This is like a marathon stream. I don't think I've ever done one this long. But I appreciate all you guys. It's been super cool talking. It's been like 50 people here the entire time, so that's really cool. Your frosted cherries F3 were fire? Hell yeah, nice. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Trainer, you said you sent me a message, and then I forget. I'm terrible remembering usernames. It was the other person that wanted the terp sneeze. Who were you? Hopefully you texted the phone, the 405-237-9524, the phone number. Hopefully you texted, and if you want the terp sneeze, it's yours. Fuck, who was it? Can somebody tell me who it was that wanted the terp sneeze? Evo. Thank you, Daphne. So Evo, if you're still here, hopefully you texted, and if you want the terp sneeze, it's all yours. And then Trainer, we'll talk off camera, and even if you know, like I do have some other options I could give you for the different granite hazes. You can take a look at them and you can decide. But yeah, text with an 808. I'll see you. Yeah, it's like, what time is it? Nobody else is texting at 11 o'clock. You sent Venmo already? Okay. Oh, did I already do Granite Haze? Oh, right. There was the one. You were the one person that got Granite Haze. Okay. All right. Then yeah, I'll hook you up with some more Granite Haze F7 too. Like for me, look, when people pay a lot for something, I like for orders over $200 for seed orders, it's harder for international because I already made like if I already made a customs declaration, I can't just throw a pair of scissors in there. But in the US, if I notice, like we're packing, or one of the other people, I tell them, if you see an order over $200, here's a pile of scissors, throw one in the package. So like I always like try to hook people up when they spend extra. So something like this, you're buying a little tiny jar of pollen, I'm gonna hook you up with some shit that's extra cool. So if you want some extra Granite Haze F7 seeds to go along with Granite Haze F6 pollen, it's all you. But all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. You can hear I'm losing my voice. Love y'all, and you'll see me soon. I just did a live a few days ago. I'm gonna do another one in a few days. We're gonna keep this going. I'm feeling very refreshed after my long break from social media. So 2.5 hours, long fucking stream. Goodbye, guys. Love y'all. Bye, Gromies.